Oh, yeah, here comes the money. He's right here. Chad Money Mendes, three-time UFC title challenger, but we're talking April 29th. We're talking BKFC,
Yes, sir.
41 in Denver. Chad, I'd talk to you about beef jerky if you had the time, to be honest with you. But when I
Perfect.
find out that you're going to be bare knuckle fighting Eddie Alvarez at 165 pounds, I get fired the hell up. Did you have the same reaction when they called you?
You and me both, bro. Like that. I honestly was not sure if I was going to come back and do any more fights. When they mentioned that, I was like, send the damn contract. Like, I want to do this right now. So, yeah, man, this is a fight that definitely gets me excited. That's obviously a name and a fighter that I've watched in the sport for a long time and would absolutely love to get in there and fight a guy like that. So, yeah, man, we're what, 4 weeks out or something, 4.5 week. We're getting close, but yeah, man, I'm excited. Everything's been right on par with camp, and I'm feeling damn good. And I'm excited to get in there and perform for sure.
April 29th in Denver, no shortage of star power from Luke Rockhold and Mike Perry to you and the underground king there. So look, 165 pounds. I mean, you're not cutting down to 145 anymore. Eddie's naturally bigger in terms of MMA weight classes. How did this weight get negotiated?
He actually requested it. I'm guessing he's probably pretty big. It'll be 2 years since he's fought. I don't know what he's been doing in that meantime, but I'm guessing he was probably pretty big. So he asked if we could go up to 65s. I'm fine with it. You know, pretty much my whole career, I've fought guys that were bigger than me, longer than me. It's not that big of a deal to me. So, I'm walking around probably 175 right now with all the training. So, I mean, a 10-pound cut to me, I feel like that's perfect. I'll feel great not having to get super dehydrated and starve myself for weeks at a time. So no, I was okay with it. I don't know how much he's gonna have to cut, but yeah, he'll probably be quite a bit bigger than me. But I'm guessing my speed, my power is gonna be what separates us there. So
Yeah, sure. Look, have you had any history with Eddie? I mean, different weight classes, at times different organizations. The name jumps out at both of us. We just talked about that, but had you guys ever crossed paths in any form?
I think years ago, maybe I was hanging out with Uriah and maybe hung out a little bit, but honestly, no, man, I don't think we've talked a whole ton or hung out or done anything like that. So I've always had tons of respect for him, though. I mean, he's one of those types of guys that he's kind of like a Frankie Edgar, like they're not in there shit talking a ton. It's, they get in there and perform. And that's how I've always kind of looked at myself also. Like, I'm not that guy that's going to sit here and make up a bunch of shit to try to sell a fight. Don't get me wrong. I'm jacked up and I'm excited and want to get in there and take his head off. But, it's nice fighting guys like that. And it's refreshing not having to get in here and put on this like fake persona of like the whole shit talking thing. So no, man, I've never had any like crazy run-ins with them or anything like that. But no, I mean, all in all, I'm just excited to get in there and to fight a guy like this. So
no question. We are excited just the same. So this will be Eddie's debut in the bare knuckle space. You already made your BKFC debut and scored a 4th round stoppage. What's that experience like? Because it is different in every way. Break it down for me.
100%, man. I was just talking about this the other day. Like, I do feel like I have a major advantage coming into the fight, mainly for that purpose alone. I mean, going into that first one, I had no idea what to expect. Like, you don't know what it feels like hitting or getting hit. You don't know what those, is it going to be 2 minutes of just in your face the whole time? Like, you just don't know what to expect, and another thing is that ring is tiny. So, we have a really small cage, MMA cage that, at least at last camp, I decided, you know what, I'm going to just get used to sparring and doing all my training in this small space, and then the ring will probably be bigger than this. So at least I'll feel like I have more room. No, dude, it was like that same size or smaller, I felt like. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely some things that are a lot different than MMA and fighting in the UFC or any of these other organizations. So I definitely feel like I have the advantage there. But man, this guy's got some balls, definitely stepping in on the first time, taking it against a guy like me. I feel like, I'm a very dangerous fighter and, he's got some balls to do it. So hats off to him. But man, I'm excited. I think this is going to be a great fight for everybody to see.
Look, you're a decorated mixed martial artist, collegiate wrestler. How decorated are you in bare knuckle street fighting? I mean, it can happen, Chad Mendes. Has it happened a lot to you?
Yeah, growing up, I got in a ton of fights, man. I was always the little guy, and I started wrestling when I was 5 years old. So obviously, wrestling was my bread and butter. And you always get these bigger guys that thought they could beat you up or pick on you because you're little, and they'd get the old blast double leg straight to their back, and that was it. So yeah, man, I got in a lot of street fights growing up. Obviously, it's not something I'm super proud of, but growing up, the little kid, I was 80 pounds my freshman year in high school. Like, just to put that into perspective, I was a tiny dude. So,
Wow.
uh, guys tried to pick on you, but it never ended well for them. So,
Well, when you had your debut in BKFC in February of last year, how did you do with the open fist concept? Because I've heard fighters when they talk about the adjustment, they say, I can't load up on every shot. I don't want to, bust my fist. I've got to make it count. How did you navigate that?
mhm. I didn't. It was something that yeah, we talked about that in camp and trained it, but man, it's night and day when you actually step in and you have somebody standing in front of you with bare knuckles swinging them. So, man, I was basically swinging for the fences with everything, and my hands were sore after, but I figured they'd be just shattered and broken to pieces, but they held up. I mean, they were sore for probably a month or two, but I don't think anything was broken, and I'm right back in there punching. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely something you have to focus on, and try to pay attention to, but I definitely did not do that the last fight. So
Well, you for a guy who was winging it, you look pretty good in doing it. So when we look at the BKFC rule set, and it's always been an interesting hybrid of attracting boxers and mixed martial artists. There is the element of dirty boxing, of almost clinching to some degree. How much are you working on that stuff to try to evolve your own bare knuckle game?
yeah, we work on that a ton. I mean, I think that part of it is really what separates this from just regular boxing. I mean, you get a just very straight edge, like by the books type boxer, and I've been sparring with guys like that. And you get in there and start putting hands on them and pushing them up against the cage and uppercutting and stuff. It's completely different to them. They're not used to it at all, and it'll break them for sure. But um, obviously Eddie is a wrestler. I'm taking it, and he likes doing that type of stuff too. So, man, I'm curious to see what these up against the ring, dirty boxing situations look like for both of us, man. I'm excited. Obviously know I'm explosive and powerful, very compact. But he's like, he's got the wrestling background. He likes the dirty box anyways, in mixed martial arts. So, man, it's gonna be good. I'm fucking pumped for it, man. This is exciting.
I'm right there with you. There's no question about it. When you're at this point in your life and career, you're 37. Is this like just fun? I mean, I'm sure there's a payday element that's like, hey,
Yeah.
man, I could put a down payment on that vacation home, but is this more or less you're just playing with house money, just having fun, living life?
Pretty much, man. After that first one, I really had to sit down, and even before that, had sit down and talk to the wife. She obviously doesn't like this stuff, which I completely understand. Absolutely crazy. We're insane, but yeah, man, it's obviously going to be my biggest paycheck ever, all through
Wow.
my entire career, which is obviously a bonus there. But man, it is one of those things, like I don't necessarily need the money. Like, it's just fun to get in there and compete, especially against a guy like this. I think the first go around it was more exciting because it's something new, and now it's exciting because it's new and a badass opponent. So yeah, it's got the double whammy there, and then I'll throw some bonus biggest money that I've ever had in there. I'll
Whew.
take it. So yeah, man, I think it's more fun at this point, and I don't know how many more I'm going to do. This might be the last one. And, if money talks, maybe we'll do one more, but yeah, man, I'm excited to get in there. So it's definitely more of a fun thing, I think, at this point.
What do you miss most about being a regular active fighter, whether that's UFC or just in general, when you've had a couple chances to take a year off or
Mhm.
retire from MMA and now you're getting these calls? What is part of that draw that you're like, man, I'm kind of missing that element in my life?
I think the biggest thing that I missed, and I noticed it from the last camp to even this camp, which was about a year, is just having that routine of training.
Yeah.
When it's not something you have to do because you're preparing for something, like just trying to fit in a run and a lift here and there, you know, at all different times of the day, it's like your main focus is on the business side of it. Like, what do I have to do work wise today? I got to get this done, this done, this done. What do we have family wise? We got to go to this game. We got to go do this practice. And it's like, all right, I'm going to squeeze like a 45-minute workout in here. And it's like, I miss like, okay, putting all that aside, my schedule today is I got a 3-hour workout here, 2-hour workout here. We're doing recovery in the middle, and that's my day. And so you go through all that and you get home and you're just like, okay, I just put the work in. Like I did it, you know? And so I think going through the routine of that throughout a 8 to 10 week camp is what I miss the most. And it's weird because I remember when I was doing it full time, where just year round in the UFC, like, I think I hated that part of it the most. You know, it was so monotonous. It was like, all right, I'm doing this again today. I get to do this. I'm tired. I'm fatigued. And then when you step away from it for a while, you're like, all right, I fucking miss that. You know, I want to get in there and do that. So I think that part of it is definitely the part that I miss the most. And so,
how much do you miss the walk? How much do you miss that combination of like anxiety and excitement in the buildup?
I mean, I do miss that, but I don't know. It's not something I like crave, that part of it, you know. It's, for me, it was like more of the test, like this is a great opponent. Like, I want to know in my mind and my heart if I can beat this guy. I want to go out there. I'm going to train my hardest in the gym and prepare as hard as I possibly can and go out there and give it my best. And in my mind, I should beat this dude, you know. But that's the test. That's the part of it that I love the most. Not so much the limelight, I guess, of it. Like, the walkout's cool just because, you know, you got cheering crowd and it's just like a big, like this huge adrenaline pump up. But yeah, I mean, I do like that, but I could definitely live without that for sure.
Fear is natural. Is it a fear of losing, or is there a fear of the danger of the sport? Which side, you know, knocks on your door louder?
More losing, definitely. I think it's more, and I've talked about this. I talked about this on the other podcast, but it's like you go through, say it's 10 weeks and you are just killing yourself day in and day out. And then you get in there and you make one small mistake inside 30 seconds of the fight and you get caught and the fight's over. And you just like, damn it, dude, I just did all that and I didn't even get to like use any of it, you know? It's like I just worked so hard, built my cardio, trained this insane game plan, had everything on point, and then something like that happens. It's like that part of it, I think, scares me more than anything, because I'd never got to, you know, perform. I never got to use what I trained and what I was studying and like trying to do throughout this camp and in this fight. So yeah, it's definitely the losing part of it, not so much the hurting.
We know your outdoor adventures outside of the fight space. What's new in that regard for Chad Mendes?
Yeah, I mean, we're still growing fins and feathers. Man, I got my hands in so many different things. We started a beef company, American Alma Beef.
Oh, wow.
I have a dry rub and wild game cookbook company called The Provider. We got a sunglass company. There's like, I just started a tree trimming business, Chris Cut Tree Service here in Northern California, with all these huge storms and big fires that we've had over the last few years. So that's rolling along and crushing it. Yeah, man, we got a lot of stuff going on. My wife's always just shaking her head because it's never a sit still, watch TV type a night, you know. It's like,
we're too young to retire, Chad. Let's be fair.
Right? That's what I say. That's my argument to her. I gotta go now while I can, and then later we'll chill and relax and enjoy everything. So, but no, I try to get the family stuff in there too, man. I think that's very important. I got 2 little girls. You know, one of them just started T-ball, so she's, you know, doing that. I've been trying to catch games here and there on the way to either training or back from it or whatever. But I think that's just as important. But yeah, man, business has been good. Things are rolling along, and I'm definitely living my dream. So hopefully
that's great to hear. I'm waiting for you to show up in one of Mr. Faber's marijuana thriller movies. All right,
yeah.
with Touchy Feely. That was a good watch.
Yeah.
I don't know if you caught that.
Feely did a good job, right? Like I was very impressed for never having any acting training or anything like that. He did a damn good job, I thought. But
were you there in the gym that day that Jean-Claude Van Damme got in and kicked Cody in the face?
No,
that's a great story.
I missed it.
All
Cody
right.
was pissed though, I saw.
Love that story, by the way. All right,
Yeah.
back to the outdoors. You're a connoisseur of wild game. Is there anything that's too gamey for even you?
Oh man, I mean, I've seen some guys eat like coyotes and stuff, which to me just,
Yeah.
yeah, no, thank you,
Yeah.
man. I'm more of a antlered hoof type guy. I like my deer, my elk, antelope, that type of stuff. But I've eaten some weird things like alligator. I've gone out to Florida and killed an alligator, and that was actually really good meat. The tail, it's like all white meat. Um,
Wow.
but that's probably, I'd say that's probably the strangest thing outside of like a rattlesnake I tried. Somebody grilled one up, but again, that was kind of the same thing as alligator, that like white meat. But neither one of them are anything I'm ever like craving. Like, let's go out and load up on rattlesnake meat, you know. But yeah, I definitely love the elk, probably elk and deer and antelope. You know, there's some other things, oryx and stuff like that, which is part of the antelope family. But yeah, there's some really good wild game meats. But I stay stocked year round. I've been loading up all my teammates throughout their training camps, just bring them down coolers of wild game meat, and that's what they live off of through their camp. So that's a pretty good feeling, pretty rewarding to know that I can help these guys out in that
Sure.
sense.
You know, I saw some expose one time about in Japan, they got this private industry where they try to get champion racehorses that have been put out to stud and they want to turn it into expensive steaks. And I'm like, look, I'm not here to eat a horse, Chad, but if I'm going to do it once, I'd love to get Secretariat in my mouth. You know what I'm saying? Are
Yeah,
you with
right.
me on that?
I hear you. I was just talking about eating horse the other day with Feely, I think is what it was. Yeah, we were all talking about that, and he's like, I don't think I could do it. And I said, you know what, I would try it. I've never had it, but I've actually heard people say that it's pretty good. So I would try it. I'm open into trying
If I
anything.
got to do it, I want to eat a champion. That's how I
Yeah,
get
that's
down in
right.
that regard.
Uh-huh.
Or could we see you on a Survivor, a Naked and Afraid, somewhere these reality shows where you can use these skills to stand out?
Probably not. I got hit up by Naked and Afraid. I actually had a buddy that went and did it, but yeah, I forget where he was, but there was those, what is it, bot flies? They like bit him on his ass cheeks, and like
Oh boy.
he laid a bunch of eggs in there. When he came back from the show, they were like crawling around under the skin. His wife had to like cut him out. I'm like, I'm good off all that. No,
Yeah.
thanks. Like,
Yeah. Can I
I'm,
wear a satchel or something? I don't need those
yeah,
things crawling up in there.
yeah.
You know, you said maybe another if this goes great, April 29th against Eddie Alvarez. I mean, Mike Perry's in a fight against Luke Rockhold. I mean, I could get down with a Mike Perry, Chad Mendes fight. I don't know about you. You know, I mean,
Yeah, I
just
don't
me
know.
talking.
That dude's an animal. He's like 3 times my size also. I just shared a locker room with him that last fight. He's a cool dude, but yeah, I might have to pass on that one.
Well, do you have any thoughts on him? I mean, Luke Rockhold's a big man right there,
Yep.
but that's Mike Perry seems as suited to make this transition as any MMA fighter I've seen.
100%. I was just talking about this is his sport, man. I feel like a way better bare knuckle boxer than an MMA fighter. Not that he was a bad MMA fighter at all, but man, this is just his home, I think. And I just saw him doing an interview talking about that. I think he knows it, you know. So no, I think, and obviously Luke is a freaking stud also. I'm just curious to see how he feels and what he does in the bare knuckle realm with, you know, like the dirty boxing. And
Sure.
Mike's just one of those guys that's just like in your face, it seems like the whole time. And it's hard to deal with when, you know, some of those bigger guys are doing that. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see how that goes, but I'm excited for that one.
Chad, you seem to be doing great. You got a lot of, a lot of pans on the fire, so to speak. You got this grand payday, this other opportunity to scratch more itches against Eddie. Does that make you look back on your UFC run due to all the headlines about fighter pay and be like, man, you know, like, because this is the dark ages still. We're only 30 years into this game.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously we all would have liked to have gotten paid more, you know, for sure. But you know, it's growing pains. I get it. It's a business that's starting out. I've been seeing some of the UFC fighter paydays recently, and they're definitely going up.
Sure.
I didn't get to see any of those types of paydays when I was in there, unfortunately, but it is kind of cool to be able to get these types of paydays that I'm getting now, these last 2 fights, in my career. I mean, I'm pretty much down to the wire here. I probably only have maybe a couple years left if I want to do this. I'm going to be 38 in May, so you know, I wasn't sure if I was going to ever hit these types of paydays, but it is pretty damn cool to think back about, you know, where I started in the beginning. I think my first fight I made $1,000 you know, and
Ooh.
it's like from there to here obviously is a huge jump, and it's pretty be cool to kind of look back on see where we all started and where we're at now. So yeah.
Hey man,
So,
get it
thank
while you
fellas.
can. We can't wait to see it. It's April 29th, Denver, Colorado. It's BKFC 41. Eddie Alvarez. I'm fired up. You're fired up. Best of luck to you, Chad. It's been great chatting with you, man.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Have a good
Take
one.
care.